Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Mel and today we're going to be doing a 24-hour so reading vlog. I will be doing the timer method for this 24-hour reading vlog. Unfortunately, I do have to go to work and sleep, so just a straight 24 hours doesn't work super well for me when it's during the week, and today is currently Monday evening. So we're going to be doing the timer method where I'll start when I start reading, stop it when I stop reading, and I will be reading for a full 24 hours. So we're gonna see how many books, how many pages I can manage to get done during this 24 hours. I think I'm really going to be focusing on fantasy romance because that is what I'm in the mood for. I've been really struggling lately with reading and rekindling my joy with reading because I feel like I'm reading things that either I'm not super excited about or just mediocre, and I want to read something that I'm excited about, and I'm in a fantasy romance mood. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I need to take a look at some of the things that I think I may want to read because I have a lot of different options and I need to figure out what I'm going to start with. But I think I'm going to try to prioritize Polycon authors because, as you guys know, I will be going to a Polycon in April with some of my very bestest of friends. I need to read more from those authors to find out who I want to get book signed from, who I want to meet, etc. So I'm going to be prioritizing a Polycon fantasy romance authors. I'm so excited because I just need a win, and I think fantasy romance is going to just hopefully make my heart happy. So that's what we're going to do. I don't know how long this vlog's going to last, however long it takes me to get to 24 hours. So let's go see if I can figure out what I'm going to be reading. Okay, so I think I have decided what I'm going to be reading, and I'm going to go with A Kiss of Iron by Claire Sager. I have read one other thing by this author before. I tried the Slaying the Shifter Prince, which was in the standalone slaying series that Carissa Broadbent kind of put together. And while I did not love that one and ended up putting it down, it was not for the fault of the writing. It was a bully romance, and the bullying seemed kind of silly and juvenile, so I just decided that one wasn't for me. But I actually really liked her writing style. So I wanted to give it another try, and this is her fantasy romance series that's probably the most popular, so very excited to be reading this. I have my sprints going, I have a cozy puppy dog, and I have a little bit of a fireplace going on in the background, so I think that I am ready for a cozy reading night.
Fatal attraction, lovers in action. One of us is gonna get hurt. You got your madness, and I'm good at bad habits. Oh, one of us is gonna get hurt. I'm no one to trust, ask anyone, and you will see it. I live for the thrill. Oh, I'm dead serious, it's you or me.
Ignore my heating pad behind me. It's finally getting cooler here, and so I had that to warm me up. I did want to check in with you guys because I'm about 10% into Kiss of Iron, and I wanted to let you know what this was about and kind of my initial first impressions. We're following Lady Catherine, who is this head of a manor, and she is married to a man, but he is kind of a scumbag and she's just basically using her for her money. And so she is trying to stay afloat and keep this estate alive. She has grown up as a wealthy individual that was always taught to be proper and be a lady, but circumstances have changed and that is really no longer the case. She is also considered the widow something. She has an alternate identity essentially where she goes out on her saber cat and is getting money and sort of a vigilante, I think, of sorts. So one day a guy comes to her house and he's like, hey, we're gonna have to seize this estate because your husband is racked up so much debt that now we have to seize the estate. And so she's like, well, crap, I've got to find whatever I can do to get money, starts stealing, steals from a fae, is in a rush to get away from him when she is summoned by the queen to the queen's court, only to find out from the spy master that he needs her to infiltrate the fae side of things because she has red hair and she is a lady that they feel can be trusted, and apparently red hair is a huge turn on for fae. And so they want her to investigate and infiltrate this fae royalty essentially to find out what they're planning because somebody is wanting the queen's hand. I guess. I feel like there's got to be more to it than that because that seems very simplistic, and I don't really know why you would want somebody to infiltrate the Fae kingdom just because they want the queen's hand in marriage, but whatever. I'm sure we'll find out a little bit more. That or maybe I missed something. I'm not really sure. But so far, I'm liking the way that this is written. I wasn't really expecting so much lady this, proper that, musket type time period. I don't really know why, but I guess usually in my fantasy, I tend to find it to go back further than that, where it is like lady and stuff like that, but it's much more Game of Thrones type lady than Bridgerton lady, but this seems a little bit more Bridgerton style, so we'll see how that ends up going. I'm assuming when we get away and into like the fae side of things, it won't lean quite that heavily into that, but I really like the writing style. I think that I could like our female main character. I just need her to kind of be forced out of her shell a little bit. I'm hoping for some really good banter because I'm assuming it's going to be her trying to gain his trust, but not really trusting him. So maybe not an enemies to lovers, a not trust to lovers kind of thing. I don't know. We'll see. I'm just assuming the Faye guy is going to be the main love interest. I don't actually know the answer to that. I'm liking the writing style a lot. I have no issues with the writing. The audiobook is fine. Curious to see how this goes. I do think we get his point of view because the audiobook had a male narrator that was like listed in the credits. So I'm assuming we'll get his point of view as well. Interested to read more. Initial first impressions are I like it, but I don't really have a ton of first impressions. Ignore the mess. We're not talking about that. But what we are going to be talking about is the fact that I have made it to about halfway in A Kiss of Iron. I have been reading for about, I don't know, 3.5, 4 hours now, and I've gotten halfway into this. I'm not loving this as much as I wanted to. I think for me, it is the fact that it feels more historical than fantasy. Like, I feel like it's a historical romance, not necessarily a fantasy romance. And so that's getting me a little bit because I'm like, wait, where's the fantasy romance? We're talking about gowns, we're talking about court, we're talking about court politics and what is proper and what is not proper. And I'm like, okay, that's fine, but give me some fantasy. And granted, the elements are there because our male main character is a fae, and so there are fantasy elements. You know that he has certain like shadow magic. They talk about the queen having magic, but it's just very limited, I feel like, and I don't know, it's just not what I was expecting. However, I think that the writing is really good. She has a very good writing style. It's easy to read, it's well written. I'm enjoying that. I'm really liking the banter between our two like leads. I think that they have really good banter when they have banter and when they're together. I just want more of it. So I think that's going to be my problem with this, is that it's well written, but I feel like the focus is going to be on places that I'm not as interested in. It's very, 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 very much so a romance. If you are looking for a fantasy romance like Carissa Broadbent that has a lot of fantasy plot elements alongside the romance elements and it's a really slow burn, this is not probably going to work as well for you. This is a much quicker burn. It probably did take till about a quarter of the book, but in the grand scheme of how long this was, they really feel like they're getting together kind of fast. I guess they're not together, but you know what I mean. So I don't know. I like it, but I think it's going to be one of those that's kind of mediocre. I do feel like it's a little bit too long, unfortunately. And again, that doesn't surprise me, but I feel like a lot of this could be cut out, repetitive scenes, things like that. This book is very spicy so far, so maybe don't read it while you're at work. But yeah, I think that I'm liking this pretty well, but I definitely have some complaints with it. However, I'm reading what I want to be reading, and so I don't really feel the urge to DNF it, which is a great feeling. So I'm definitely going to finish this. It's going to take me a couple more hours because this is not a short read, and we will do a like timestamp check-in once I am finished with this one. I have now finished Kiss of Iron. I was sitting here listening to the very end of it while working on my genre blanket, which I feel like is coming along, but I have made this thing way, 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 way too big. And so not only is it taking me forever, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it when I'm finished. But as far as finishing up The Kiss of Iron and my final thoughts on it, again, I will say that I think that this book is really well written. Again, I will say that for the large part of the story, it felt like a historical romance, but I did like the latter half better than the first half. I thought that it had more fantasy elements and was just overall more interesting. It was a little more politics, a little more fantasy, a little less trying to get in each other's pants. I don't know. But at the same time, I just wanted, I think, a little bit more politics and intricacies and plot. I think this is a good comparison to Blood Mercy by Bella Roth. I don't think that this is at all written like Blood Mercy. Blood Mercy definitely has a much more formal writing style, but it has kind of this time period Regency type vibe to it, and it definitely deals a lot with like court politics and a romance. The difference in this one is that the court politics are not surrounding, I don't know, they didn't feel like they had a lot of stakes to me, and the like world building was not as good. I think that that's where this book really struggled for me, was in the fact that there wasn't a lot of world building. Like, you could tell it was supposed to be there, but unfortunately it just didn't have a lot of depth to it. We spent a lot more time on the romance, which is fine. I don't think the romance was bad. I do wish it had been a little bit more slow burn, and I do wish that the banter had been drug out a little bit more, because that's just my favorite part about a fantasy romance. So I did miss that because I thought that it was good when it was there. I just needed a little bit more of it. Let's see, I feel like I'm a little bit all over the place on my thoughts on this. I did like the ending of this. I thought that it was a lot of fun. I agree with some of the reviews that said that Kat seemed very hypocritical at the end. I do agree with that. But overall, I liked her character arc. I liked her development throughout the story. I'm not sure if I'm going to love his character development, but we'll see. The ending of this, I think, is what makes this something that I will want to read the sequel to, because it did expand the world a little bit and it did give us a taste of much more fantasy elements, and I liked that quite a lot. So I do think that I may continue on in the series and try book 2. I overall think that this is going to be a 3-star read for me. It was good, and I will be continuing, and I really like Claire Sager's writing style, so I will absolutely read more from her, but not an ultimate favorite, and I think it's more of a me thing than a book thing. But I had a lot of fun with it. So it's time for a time check-in. In 6 hours and 45 minutes, I have managed to read 610 pages. So that is not too shabby. I will definitely take it. That means we have, what, 17 hours or so to go, and that means I need to pick another book desperately. So I think what I'm going to do is Song of the Marked by S.M. Gaither. This is another fantasy romance that's been really popular. People have been loving. I do own it. I'm not going to be able to get up right now because I have a dog in my lap, but when I can go get it, I will grab it and show it to you guys. This one is another, I think, enemies to lovers fantasy romance that I don't know a lot about. I have heard that it has good banter. Again, she is going to be at a Polycon, and I'm trying to prioritize a Polycon authors for this vlog. A lot of people absolutely love Song of the Marked. I have heard some so-so things, but for the most part, people give it somewhere between a high 3 and a 5-star. I'm very, very excited to read it. We'll see what I end up thinking about it. There's an audiobook for it. I've heard that the audiobook and the physical book do differ a little bit, but I don't think it's primarily in book 1. I think that is more in book 2, so I think I'm safe to do the audio for book 1. We have 17 hours to go on this thing. Let's see how many more pages I can manage to get read. So for my next read, I did decide to go with A Song of the Marked by S.M. Gaither. I think I said Gaither before, it's Gaither. I don't have any idea what this is about. I think that it involves gods and maybe some kind of elemental magic. I've heard it has really good banter. It's about a mercenary who needs to complete her latest job, and the king offers her a job that she can't resist, and the king offers her a job that she can't resist, even if it means working with Captain Ellender, who is the mysterious right hand to the king. He is infuriating, but their mission seems simple and quick enough. They have to investigate the origins of a strange plague that's been ravaging the empire, help find a cure, and call it a day. What could possibly go wrong? So I'm excited to read this one. It's been on my TBR for a while, and I've heard the banter is top tier, and that is exactly what I need right now. So I'm going to get in bed, cozy up, and read a little bit of this book.
Like two magnets, we are drawn to each other. You just know how to push all my buttons. Moved out of town and I erased your number, but still I find myself calling in the middle of the night, and there is nothing I can do. I am madly drawn to you. I know you feel.
Why is it so dark outside? It's literally 4 p.m. and I'm about to leave work, and it looks like it's more like 9 p.m. at night. I wanted to check in with you guys because I have gotten about an hour into the Song of the Marked, and I like this, but I don't know. There's something about it that's just not completely gripping me. We've had a lot of action scenes so far, and I find them a little bit hard. Not necessarily hard to follow in the way that, like, I don't know what's going on, but hard to follow in the way that they just kind of go in one ear carrying out the other. And I don't know if that's like an all book thing, if that's an audiobook thing. I'm not really sure, but I'm not loving that. I want a little bit more time with our characters, a little less sword slinging, you know, kind of action scenes. There's just been a lot of them so far. And I've heard that the banter in this book is really, really good. So I'm looking for that banter. Overall, I think that the writing is fine. It's just not gripping me. And we haven't really gotten to the synopsis of the book yet. So I'm hoping that we'll kind of get a little bit more information as we go. A lot of it's been set up so far, like introducing us to who she is and why she is the way that she is, and kind of just the history of like the elves versus the fae touched and that kind of thing. So I do find that stuff interesting, but I don't know. I'm just looking for a little bit more from it. I'm interested, but I won't say that I'm completely hooked yet. So I'm going to listen to it more on the way home, and then I will check in with you guys once I get home and settled. We'll do another time check-in, and hopefully it's working a little bit better for me, more like the halfway point. It's a little bit later and I am finally home and have gotten to about the halfway point in the Song of the Mart and wanted to check in with you guys. I don't feel like I have a whole lot more to say than what I said earlier. It's generally fine, but I just don't feel overly connected to anybody so far. Still a lot of action scenes. We did finally get to the like plot part of the story, but it probably took until like 40-ish% before we got to the synopsis part of this story, which I was kind of surprised by. But we have gotten a little bit more of the banter between the male and female main characters, and I am quite liking that. I do see why they say SM Gaither is the queen of banter, because they do have some really good moments between one another where you can tell that they don't exactly like each other, but they're intrigued enough to like have that back and forth, and I am really, really liking that part of things. I don't really trust the king. Curious to see how that ends up going. I want to know more about the magic system and about this mission that they are about to go on. We did get some info dumps, which I didn't exactly mind because I felt like I needed to learn a little bit more about the world and the magic and kind of what was going on in here, because we do have moments where we're talking about that, but I don't know. I don't mind an info dump, but it's like dump, move on to action scene, dump, move on to action scene, and the pacing just isn't great for me. But I feel like that may be a personal me thing because a lot of people love this book. I just am looking for more from it at the moment. So we're gonna see how the latter half of the book goes. Now that our two main characters are together a little bit more, we have set up this story and kind of what the synopsis said we were going to be accomplishing. So I'm hoping that now we'll have a little bit more substance. We'll see. I did not bring my phone in here. I don't know where it is. So I will put up a timestamp for you guys of about where we're at as far as time goes. So I am about here-ish right now in this, which means maybe I'll be able to finish it tonight. I think I have a couple hours left of the audiobook, but I think that I may switch to it physically because I do think that that's part of the problem is the audio. Narrator is fine. Narrator has no issues, but I do know that she ended up going and changing a few things, and I think primarily more in the later books. But what I was noticing last night when I was trying to read along with this is that there were more words in the audiobook than what was on page. And so I was having a little bit of a hard time following, and I'm hoping that maybe taking out all of that like extra sentence stuff is going to make this seem a little more streamlined and a little bit better pacing wise. So I think I'm going to flip to physical for the rest of the evening. We have Cassidy's watch along for the Vampire Diaries tonight, which I may pop in on for a little while. I've seen the Vampire Diaries like, I don't know, 3 or 4 times now. Maybe not that many, more like 2 or 3 times now. But I've seen it enough that I can just kind of jump in and out whenever and still enjoy it. They're on season 1 right now, which is a cringy season, but also still a lot of fun and probably the one that I have seen the least. For some reason, when I'm rewatching shows, a lot of times I don't tend to watch the first season again. I don't know why, but I don't know, it's a me thing. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to read a little bit more, and I think I'm going to go take a hot bath because it's chilly, and I'm loving the fact that it's chilly, but not used to this yet. We are back at work again. It is Thursday, and honestly, this vlog is taking me a lot longer than I expected it to. 24 hours is a very long time when you are using a timer method. Normally, when I do these types of things, I'm doing it over the course of like 2 to 3 days, and it's a way to read a lot all in one go, and that was my intention for this vlog, and I still feel like I'm reading more than I normally would, but work is definitely causing some problems on how much that I have been reading, because I really wanted to have this vlog done in like 3-4 days max, but we're coming up on Thursday and I'm only halfway through. So with that being said, I am about 12 and a half hours into this reading vlog, and I have now finished Song of the Marked by S.M. Gaither. I wanted to love this so much because I feel like so many people do, and it's not that I disliked it, but I think the hype got to me a little bit, and I ended up being disappointed just because it wasn't quite living up to the hype for me. I'd seen so many 5 stars, and I just feel like it definitely was not a 5-star for me. I think it'll probably be around a 3-star. This book had so many elements that I should have loved. It had elemental magic and death magic, which I really enjoy. It had animal companions and a lot of friendship. It had a mentor, it had gods and different worlds, and there was just a lot of really good things, politics to love here, but I felt like everything kind of missed the mark for me. There was so much action going on in this that I never connected to anything. I didn't feel like the world was deep enough. I didn't feel like I understood kind of the setting, much less the magic system, as well as I wanted to, and I really feel like the character moments were missing in this for me. The banter when we had it was great, but because we didn't spend a whole lot of time with our characters getting to know one another and having deep conversations, I just feel like the romance, they never really felt like they had a ton of chemistry to me. I also think that this book does something that I don't particularly enjoy, which is a lot of its info dumping and world building through dialogue, and you know, a lot of that tell and not show. And I think that's part of why maybe I wasn't able to fully connect with everything, is because I feel like I was being told all of this stuff, but I was never really shown as much as I wanted, and so I couldn't connect on the level that I wanted to. However, with all of that being said, I know it sounds very negative, but I actually am still having a great time just reading things that I've wanted to pick up for this vlog, and I do think that I will probably be continuing in this series because I'm curious to see how the sequel goes. I've heard that the sequel is very different in vibes than the first book, and that was a negative for people that gave it 5 stars, but I'm wondering if that might be a good thing for me. Maybe that means that there's not as much action and it slows down a little bit. And I'm not to say action is bad, like I still need action moments and things to happen, but it just needed a few more character moments, I think, as well. So I do think I will be continuing on in the series because I'm curious to see kind of where everything goes after the ending. But we still have 12 hours-ish to go on this vlog, and so I need to pick another book. So I didn't know what I wanted to read. I was like, we've got a ton of different options as far as Apolycon authors, and so I asked my Patreons what they wanted me to pick up. And they had a bunch of different options. We had Furyborn by Claire Legrand, Kingdoms of Shadow and Ash by H.R. Moore, Song of the Forever Rains by E.J. Mello, The Curse of the Saints by Kate Dramis, and A Curse of Blood and Stone by K.A. Tucker, which is book 2 in The Fate and the Flame. But what they ended up going with was Blood Solace by Bella Roth. This is the second book in the Blood Mercy series, and I loved Blood Mercy. I gave it a super high 4-star, almost 5-star. That is one of those books where it had so many elements that should not have worked for me, but everything was done so incredibly well that I still loved it regardless of the fact that it shouldn't have worked for me. So I think that that's what I'm going to be picking up next. So I've downloaded the audiobook. I'm very excited to get back in this world. I've been talking too long already, and I do have to go back into work. And I will let you know a little bit more about what Blood Mercy / Blood Solace is about when I get home. I have a couple of updates for you guys. The first one is book related, and then I also have a little fun package to show you guys. But first things first, I have now gotten home, grabbed Blood Solace, and I did start this a little bit on the way home. I got like, I don't know, 10 or 15 pages into it. But I love this like setup in this world. I think that it is so cool, and I love the like intricate politics that she manages to weave around all of this. We have actually already started with a heavy dose of politics at the very beginning, which I may need to go back and reread to kind of refresh my memory because I remember what happened in Blood Mercy pretty well, but like just a quick refresher, not audio, may serve me for the politics. But love Leo. He is just such a cinnamon roll, and normally I don't love cinnamon roll characters, but there's just something about Leo that is so sweet and innocent while also being, I don't know, there's just something about Leo. I'm still waiting for Cassia's point of view. I think she comes in for just a little while. I don't know exactly where I am, but I am excited for her point of view. So I have my book. I have my bookmark, which I cannot show you guys, but keep your eyes peeled for things happening in March of 2024. But I also wanted to show you guys my package really quickly. This is not sponsored. However, Casely, if you want to sponsor me, hook a girl up. I have been using Casely phone cases for probably a year or so now. They have a subscription that gives it to you for, I don't know, 20 or 30% off, and you can like skip however many months that you want to. And I find that these are like good, solid cases while also not being very bulky, and they have some really cute designs. But I got my mom and myself two Christmas phone case or a Christmas phone case because they were buy one get one free. I haven't fully decided which one I'm keeping versus which one I'm giving mom, but I think that this first one is going to be the one that I give mom. And they're honestly just so cute. Like, look at this case. It's adorable. And then I also bought this one, which is the one I think I'm going to be keeping, and it's just got like a little gingerbread man, a little nutcracker. I think that it is so cute. So I'm going to pop this on. Okay. So there it is. It's so cute. It's a little bit sturdier, I feel like, than this one. And I don't know if I bought a different kind of case. Oh, I did. I bought one with a shell this time, which I've not had before. Cool. I like that. But anyway, really, really like these. Very happy with them. Not sponsored by Casely, but do highly recommend. So I am going to jump on sprints with Cassidy. I know no one is surprised. We are on sprints all the time. And I'm going to read some more of Blood Mercy, or Blood Solace. I am very, very excited. May get some crocheting done while I'm at it. We will see, and I will check in with you guys a little bit later. So I'm currently on sprints, and I just wanted to give you guys a quick blanket update and show you kind of what my genre blanket was looking like so far because I was working on it. This thing is basically already like a lapgan, and we are in May, like literally just started May. I don't know why I have done this to myself. Like, this is one end and then it just keeps going. Like, I'm never finishing this. I'm never finishing this. But I like the way that it looks. It's just taking forever. But I think it looks good so far. I've just finished cleaning the house and kind of getting everything ready to start putting up Christmas decorations. You guys saw me probably take down all of my fall decorations, which was kind of sad, but it's worth it to get up the Christmas stuff, so I'm okay with that. But I did want to talk to you guys because while I was doing all of that, I was listening to Blood Solace, and I did manage to get about halfway in this, and it just completely flew by. I didn't realize that I was already halfway through this, but I'm loving it. You guys, Cassia and Leo is just... they're just so sweet. Leo is a cinnamon roll of all cinnamon rolls, and I love the way that he talks about Cassia. I will say that he pines a lot, but you know, if only we could have somebody pine after us as much as Leo pines after Cassia. It's so sweet. And then Cassia definitely is thinking of Leo, but she has a lot more going on the political side of things, and she's trying to like make things better while also not getting herself killed. And I'm really loving some of the interactions that she has with characters that we didn't get to see when Leo was with her. You definitely focus primarily on the two of them, and I am liking getting to see them separately and getting to see the characters that go along with them separately, but also at the same time, like, something just happened and I'm so ready for them to get back together. So I'm loving this so far. Fella Ross' writing style is like a warm hug. Like, it just sucks you in, and it's so easy to listen to. It's so easy to read and just get completely immersed in this story, even when not a lot is going on. Although I will say that this does seem to have a lot more political maneuvering and a lot more happening in it to me than Blood Mercy did, and I am having a fantastic time. Like, I am absolutely loving this. I love the direction and where we are at right now. I will say that if something happens tonight, I will probably DNF the series. No, just kidding. But nothing better happen at Night. Night is my baby, and nothing better happened to him. Anyway, I don't really have a lot more to say right now. Let's do a quick time check-in and see where we're at, because I am gonna finish this probably within the next 3 hours or so, and so I need to know, am I gonna have to pick another book? I kind of hope not. But we are at 17 and a half hours now, which means 17 hours. You guys saw that, right? Apparently I can't see. So we have like 7 hours left to go, which means there's a decent chance I'm gonna need to pick another book. I think I know what I'm gonna read. I'm not gonna tell you yet. If I need another book, I know what I'm gonna read. Okay, I have got Christmas music on. I've got my book. I'm ready to cozy in, and let's see how many more hours I can knock out. It is now 10 p.m. and we are rounding out hour 20 by finishing up Blood Solace by Bella Roth. I think that I'm going to be giving this one a 4-star, probably a higher 4-star. I really enjoyed this. These characters aren't doing anything throughout this story. They are just kind of hanging out. I do feel like the politics in this and the world building was just as good as in the first book. I really enjoyed that part of the story, and I actually didn't mind when the characters were separated. I know a lot of people, I was kind of glancing at reviews, and a lot of people didn't love when they were separated, but I felt like we got to see more of the side characters when they were separated, so I did like that part of the story. I agree that Leo pines a lot, but it's cute, and it is a little annoying. I will admit it is a little annoying, and that was probably a large part of why it was more of a 4-star, was just because the pining, while cute, did get a little bit excessive, and then the sex scenes in this were very steamy and could be a little drawn out for just my personal preference, but that's going to be a selling point for some people. So not necessarily a negative, just a negative for me. But overall, I just love these characters. I will watch them just kind of hang out and do anything. I think that Cassia still has a really strong character. Not as much growth in this one as far as character development goes for either one of them, but I do think that we got to see a lot more of the Hespertine world when they got back together, and I really enjoyed that part of the story. I just had a great time with this, and I will absolutely be continuing in the series. Like I said, this series is just, her writing is like a warm hug. It's easy to fall into, it's easy to read, and I just, like I said, love these characters. So don't really have a lot of complaints there, except for hopefully now that they are together, there will be a little bit less pining. I'm hoping they can get past like the honeymoon phase and just be a couple, and maybe even a couple with some challenges. I'm okay with them having challenges. I do like that we don't really have a third act breakup kind of situation, but I would like to see them have to work through some things and see how their relationship does when things aren't exactly going their way. And I know that things didn't go their way at the end of the book, the first book, but they didn't really have to work through that together. I want to see them have to work through something together. So anyway, I, like I said, really enjoyed this. I'm excited to see where the third book goes. We'll probably hopefully picking that up very soon. I'm a fan, had a great time. So we're 20 hours in now, which means I have about 4 hours tomorrow. I think I'm going to pick up Earth's End by Elise Kova. This is the third book in the Air Awakens series. I'll tell you guys more about it tomorrow because it's getting late and I'm quite tired, but I do think that that is what I'm going to be reading tomorrow. The audiobook is around 3 hours and 45 minutes, so it will be perfect to kind of round out this 24 hours, give us a nice 4 books to complete everything. But for now, I'm gonna go to bed. I will see you guys in the morning.
Sky come bearing up before us. We hang on the hem of your gown. Blue sky come, promise not to leave us. Tarry not to our time. There's a darkness in the valley, heavy branches crack and split. If we holler, will you hurry? Can you hear us through the wind? Blue sky calm, dancing in between us. Take us up, lay us down. Blue sky.
So it is a little bit later in the day on Saturday, and I'm not sure if I told you guys what I was going to be reading next. Next up, I'm going to be picking up Earth's End by Elise Kova. This is the third book in the Air Awakens series. I think there are 5 books in total, and I am absolutely loving this series. It's not very long, so I thought that it would be perfect to round out this 24-hour readathon thing that I was doing. It's taken me a lot longer than I thought it was going to. I don't know who I was kidding when I thought that I would be done on like Wednesday or Thursday at the latest, but here we are. It's okay. We're gonna make it through and it's gonna be great, and I'm gonna have read a lot of books. This obviously is not gonna be any spoilers. You probably figured that out already from Blood Solace, but Air Awakens is following Vala, who is a library apprentice, and she now lives in the South, I believe. She was once an Easterner, and the South is kind of is on the verge of battle with the North, but she doesn't really care about any of that. She just wants to be in the library, learn all that she can, gain all of the knowledge that she can to become a librarian, essentially. One day, one of the young princes is gravely injured, and she goes to try to help with her knowledge that she has gained from the library, and things ensue, and she realizes that she is the last Windwalker. And Windwalkers are very powerful. They have a lot of abilities, and they are highly coveted for their abilities. This is a fantasy romance, and I've liked the romance in this so far, but I do feel like a little bit of it was rushed. Not terribly, but just a little bit in books 1 and 2. I will say that these books feel like one continuous story. After every book, they just start back right from where the last one left off. This one I have gotten about 30-40 pages into already, and it just really starts off with a bang. We are going from exactly where book 2 ended, and the action just starts right from the get-go. I'm very invested. I'm having a great time. Elise Kova's writing is very easy to read and get sucked into. I am enjoying Vala's character and how you can already tell that she just continues to grow and develop, and I think that that is really, really well done. So I'm having a great time with this. I'm going to continue reading. I think we're at about the 21-hour mark, so it's going to take me about 3 hours to finish this book, which is perfect timing, and I will check back in with you guys about halfway. Checking in because I am now halfway through Earth's End by Elise Kova, and I'm having a great time with this. This series in general is just so easy to like fall into and read. I think that the romance is a lot of fun while also not being too overwhelming, and I also really like the politics and kind of the military front and things that are going on, especially more in the second and the third book. It wasn't as much in the first book, but I'm really enjoying that aspect of this one. The only complaint that I have is something at the very beginning was resolved a little bit too fast for my liking. This book's only 290 pages, so it definitely could have stood another, I don't know, 50 or so pages to kind of resolve that conflict or that issue, and I think that that would have made it feel a bit more substantial and a bit more dire, because the stakes just never really felt like they were there because it just resolved so fast. But overall, I am really enjoying myself, having a great time, still love these characters. I do want a little bit more of the friendships, but I like what we're getting so far, and like I said, I am exactly halfway, so far going very well. We are 22.5 hours in, so if I stay on track, I will be finished with this book with like 5 minutes to spare at 24 hours. So wish me luck. I would have timed this perfectly if that ends up happening. I'm 175 pages into Earth's End now, and there is one thing that is both a complaint and I guess a compliment all at the same time, is the relationships in this I really like. And Vala, I like her progression of her character, but she is so very black and white. Like, if she sees a problem and thinks about it in one way, there is no other explanation to it. She's just like, you better do it this way or we're donezo. And I don't love that. I do wish that she was a little bit more, I don't know, understanding, I guess, and just really wanting to work on that relationship. But some of that stuff's a little frustrating because I feel like it's, I don't know, I can see that some people would handle it that way. I just don't love it, I guess. I do like the friendships. I do like that we are getting more of Baldair, who is the brother, and kind of that dynamic, because I think that that dynamic is a lot of fun. I'm curious to see how this current development plays out, because I don't mind it from Aldrich's point of view. Like, I don't, it's frustrating. I don't like it, but I think that it adds character dimension, and her reaction to it is a little bit frustrating, but I'm hoping that that is a moment for character growth. So we will see. I have about an hour and 10 or so minutes left, and then I will check in once I'm finished. We'll go through a final rating and hopefully be at 24 hours. Okay, so it is quite a bit later, but I did want to tell you guys that I am finished with Earth's End, and we have made it officially to 24 hours. Finally. You guys, the stress of like stopping that timer exactly at 24 hours, I was stressed. But I will check back in with you guys tomorrow when I am a little bit more awake and more put together. I'll give my final thoughts on Earth's End, and we will close out this vlog. Okay, friends, so it's time to wrap up this vlog. First, I need to give you my final thoughts on Earth's End. I ended up giving this book, I think, a 4-star. I don't love the ending of this. I think that I understand where she was going with it. I understand kind of what the thought process was in this like third act breakup kind of thing. I get it, and I think it makes sense politically. However, I think that the reactions to it were a bit out of character. I don't think that it really fit with who they were or what their relationship had been set up to be as of this point. So I didn't really love the way that that was handled, and it definitely, combined with a couple of other little things, did bring it down to a 4-star for me. But overall, I had a great time with this story. I really, really enjoyed it, and I cannot wait to move into Water's Wrath. I think that it's going to be a great time. I would highly recommend this series if you're looking for something that is just easy to read and has good characters, pretty good banter, with also a pretty strong subplot as well, because this is a fantasy romance in the fact that it is more, I guess, YA leaning. I wouldn't necessarily say that it is like hardcore YA, but it is definitely YA leaning over adult. I wouldn't necessarily put it in the adult category, but I think that because of that, we do have a strong romantic subplot, but we also have a strong regular plot as well, and I thoroughly appreciate that about this book. The politics in it are really good. The magic system is a lot of fun. I liked the military aspect of this one, and I would definitely recommend it. So yeah, 4-star for that one. I need to take my bookmark out. Had a great time. So overall in this vlog, we had a 3-star, which the more I think about, the less sure I am about that, but Kiss of Iron was a 3-star. Then we had Song of the March, which was also a lower 3-star. Both of those are kind of up on the air if I continue them. Probably Song of the March over Kiss of Iron, but I haven't fully decided on either of them yet. And then we had Blood Solace, which I gave a 4-star and thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed. Excited to continue in that series. And then Earth's End, which was also a 4-star. So resounding success in this vlog. I think if I looked at it correctly, I read somewhere around 1900 pages in this vlog, so definitely a success. I do think the timer, while it didn't work out the way that I intended for it to, definitely encouraged me to read more in a day than I probably normally would, and I got through 4 books in like 5 days. So overall, resounding success. Had a great time, especially since they were pretty chunky books for the most part. If you guys just want to let me know that you were here and hanging out, leave me a time clock, some sort of emoji on that front. As always, links to my Patreon, Instagram, Twitter, and Goodreads are all down in the description box below. Please give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to. It really helps my channel grow, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.